Hello and welcome everybody to Howling with the Wolves episode 3 with me, Melvin Wolf.
Nicholas.
And Mohit. Today we're going to be talking about culture and society. So,
Up first, we got Melvin, who's gonna introduce us to a bit of language talk, right? Talking about talking.
yeah.
Yes, talking about talking. Now, as we say it, I completely forgot to read what I wanted to read before, or reread, but whatever. We had this discussion between podcasts last week, or after I
Did
guess
we?
it was,
Did we?
about languages, how they affect our thinking, and I was making the case that, first of all, it would be very good if everyone would be talking one language, and
No.
actually English would actually be a very good language for this. The reason for English being a good language is that I was presenting, is that English has a very good numerical system, which is easy to understand and pretty efficient in what is used as a math base. It's one of the easiest languages to learn because it has very simple vocabulary and verb usage. It is a language which can adapt very, very quickly because, contrarily to, for example, French, where there is actually an institutional ministry, I'm not exactly sure, I checked it up, which regulates new words. Obviously, young people still do whatever they want, but English is a language which is completely used to, and thanks to the many dialects, it's also very normal that it's continuously progressing and adapting itself to what we need. There's no word for monetization. YouTube just writes monetization, and a year later, everyone uses it, and no one gives a shit. Literally 5 years ago, or 10 years ago, before YouTube came along, monetization just didn't exist. And in other languages, like in German, you would have like some weird compound noun or something, like Videovergütung or sowas. And you're like, why, Instead of like...
Well, I mean, just the example monetization is not different. It's also just a weird compound word.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not extremely long, and it gets the point across.
But then you can
words but like, for example, another example, okay? Like phablet.
You can make words up for anything.
I know, but English, thanks to it being rooted well, being an easy to understand language which is not extremely rooted in like a culture. So there's not like in France you really have a lot of this culture of we don't want French to change. You don't have this in English. You have a lot of different influences, so it's a language which automatically adapts to like the globalizing world very easily, or to the modernizing world which we currently have, or which we always have very easily.
There's no word for phablet in French.
In German, there is no word for phablet.
Oh no!
You would just say big phone or something.
Yeah.
Or flagship phone, or. But
Groß Telefon.
You really, I noticed that a lot. Growing up both in France and Germany, that English would always be ahead and obviously it also has something to do with just English being way more widespread and like the Silicon Valley being in the fucking, USA of A and stuff like that. No question. But there's some of that. Give me 1 second, I'm gonna read some of this so you guys talk.
I have never thought about like languages that way, as having, easier and
definitely very, very important.
Also, because I've only learned like 2 languages in my lifetime, and a third I basically picked up because I watched TV.
That's like way more common with English than with other languages because English is very easy to pick up that way.
Well, no, I think the main reason why English is so easy to pick up is that you get bombarded with it a lot. Like you have a lot of
helps.
Exposure.
But that's more true for us than for people from different, like in India maybe or something. Or I guess India still has a lot of English roots, but Brazil doesn't.
But even then, because English is already a lingua franca, like an internationally used language, a language for international communication, you obviously get exposed to it a lot.
Okay, can I make a second point?
Yeah, sure.
To maybe help this discussion. In English you have like you for both, you don't have the difference between du and sie of tu et vous when you're addressing like someone in higher up in authority.
Yeah.
You have the direct communication.
Don't have that. True.
It is proven that this reduces accidents in the pilot-co-pilot, for example, situation, or on ships. That if you're in English,
proven.
Yes, with studies and with numbers. Um, because you have you f- people are way more likely to address superiors if there's an issue
Yeah.
in a language which does not have the difference between like you, like my friend, and you, my superior, where it's the same word, you.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and English is one of those languages, so it's, in my opinion, that's a good thing. I mean, like, I don't think we need this. I think it's a good thing that we address our teachers the same way we address our friends, and not like in Germany where are in France where you say,
The.
you
Yeah,
and
yeah,
the
yeah,
or vous.
and we have the same thing. Like in Nepali, there's actually like more to it than like you have different. Oh yeah, of course you have different conjugations too. I forgot about that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. We have that in Nepali. Like we have respect, sort of.
Then
You don't even know about Japanese then,
second
because
fact,
Oh god, weeaboo.
second fact I'd like to read out. So this is a quote. I forgot the source. I'm very sorry. I had it all open. I wanted to put the sources down, but then I forgot to do that. But quote: It's extremely laconic in whatever. Sentences translated from English into other languages take up at least 30% more space. English words are concise, and so are the sentences. And this is true if you look, for example, in like airplanes, right? It says like life vest under your seat. In
Mm-hmm.
German, it says like Rettungsweste unter Ihrem Sitz. And it's just like one word longer, or like same amount of words, but still
Efficiency.
longer.
Germans are
And
supposed to be
that
efficient.
helps. I mean, like, it's a detail, but in a world where how many emails, I mean, like, what do you do at school? You write literary reviews, right? If you get 30% more information in the same amount of space or text,
Yeah.
it helps communication. And so these are kind of the arguments which I have why English is a good language. I'm not making the argument that English is the best possible language, and there, in any direction which you actually want, there are definitely many better things you can do and stuff. But considering what we have in the world right now, it's
Yeah.
A, not surprising that English is so dominant, maybe because it has its advantages, and B, it's probably actually pretty good at it's actually English and maybe not German or something.
I don't know, but
oh, I
then like
definitely agree.
yeah, but
ahead.
then like I don't know that English is that easy because you have a Latin language, like German is a Latin language, so it's easier for you. But then I don't know,
It's
something like Mandarin, or I mean, it was
I will
relatively
agree,
easy for me
but
because yes,
even
it was
for
focused
Latin
on it.
language, it's a very easy one. Like, it's definitely still easier for Latin language users than non-Latin language users. But
Yeah,
if, like, for a Chinese guy, it's definitely easier to learn English than it is to learn German or French or Italian or Spanish or Portuguese. Spanish still being easier than like French or German.
By the way, I just remembered a counterpoint that I saw made by I don't even remember whom. Right now I found it at scienceorf.at that states that at least in the spoken language,
Hmm?
there obviously are differences in information density. For instance,
Oh
English
yeah,
has a high density, German density is a lot lower,
I think
and Japanese
Japanese
uses
is
a lot
like
of words.
way more.
But
Japanese is yeah.
the point is that at the same time, languages that have a higher information density tend to be spoken at a slower pace, which is
Okay.
interesting to note.
But also, what'd be
So,
interesting is, do we lose details?
Like Japanese is spoken so really fast, so does it have a low information density?
you mean like by having a higher information density?
By, for example, having like, if saying you use less space, right? That basically means you have maybe shorter words. But that maybe also means that maybe in other languages you would have like two words, but instead you only have one. You know what I mean? So that instead of,
Well,
for example, train, locomotive, and train, wagon, in English you would only have train. I'm
Yeah.
exaggerating, yeah. While in other language you would have both. So while it would make it like obviously shorter because you would have less words to stick into the language, so you have more shorter words in general, right? Logically, you would lose this option of directly with one word defining two
well,
similar but different things, and instead would have to say like train, locomotive instead of like just. You know what I mean?
well,
Yeah.
I
Question
think
mark.
there might be something to it, but a lot of the volume that is created happens either because of certain grammatical constructions
Mm-hmm.
and also phonetics and the way an alphabet translates phonetics.
Okay,
Like
so
in
what is
French,
that?
you have a lot of AUXs everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
The word eau, water,
Mhm.
is written EAUX, which for
No,
someone who
without the
isn't
X.
used,
Without the X. I'm sorry.
oh right. Well,
But like
take the word
eggs.
Bordeaux.
Yeah, or eggs.
Take the word
OEUEX.
Bordeaux.
Yeah.
Bordeaux ends in EAUX, which makes no sense for someone who isn't actually used to the language.
Or like one egg. EUFS.
Oh God, I don't know.
OEUFS, right?
Well,
And
yeah,
then two
something like
eggs.
that.
OEUX. It's like what the? And that's why I'm
I
saying it's
think
hard to learn because in English it's egg, eggs. You know, it's
yeah,
not like FS becomes X for some reason.
Yeah,
And
but
it's
then
nearly
yes,
always gonna be
yes.
egg,
French is a
eggs.
hard
You know,
language.
cars, houses. You have like a very few exceptions. While in
yeah,
French, it's just full of them.
Goose geese.
also English doesn't have nouns, genders.
You have nouns,
Nouns.
you don't have genders.
Yeah,
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 exactly.
yeah, yeah.
Exactly, that's what
English is
another thing I
nouns, I
wanted to
know.
bring up. You don't have genders.
Oh,
Also,
the point I was trying to make when I was
oh yeah,
starting to talk about
Mhm.
French is that certain languages just get blown up once by grammatical constructions or by the way they use the alphabet they have, or just by their phonology, like the syllables you use for a certain language. Japanese, for instance, essentially always uses syllables consisting of a consonant and a vocal. Like you don't get a singular K or a singular P or something like that. So the words get longer.
I
If you
feel like
understand what
you
I
know
mean.
more about Japanese than actual Japanese people.
that's pretty.
I
To be honest,
doubt
I wouldn't
that.
be surprised.
I
Like when
doubt
you
that.
just talk a language, you don't think about it. I long time didn't think about this, Mohit. It's not like just because I grew up with English, French, and German. It's just like at some point you watch like one YouTube video, you talk to like one person, for example, Nicolas, or maybe you start thinking, but you're with someone who then you just start thinking together, and from that point on, right, there's something you have in your head, and then when you see something like an article, you click on it, and you kind of get an idea of the stuff over time. But yeah,
Yes. So like
Yeah, but then
the information density also depends on the kind of phonology you're using. I'm not sure about this, but probably
okay,
Chinese has a very high one.
what
Because,
exactly is information density defined as? Like phonetics
so
or like
basically you give
writing?
people, I guess, yeah, but you give people a situation to describe.
Yeah, written or spoken.
It's the same. I guess it would be the
Oh
same.
yeah,
Same,
yeah.
yeah. Or I guess there might be some differences, but like it's very similar, right? Like you
Yeah.
might condense some things, but
I think it's defined by
I think it's written.
amount of words used and length
Yeah.
of the words, so
I think
like
it's like
syllables you
by
use.
amount of
Length of the words.
characters.
That's what I was saying. Like
Characters or syllables.
then you could also like speak fast, you know, because spoken.
Well, yeah, that's what happens in
But I
practice.
guess speaking also at some point, like it's not only the length of the syllables, but it also has to do with like what tongue movement and stuff you have to do, right? And like even the culture.
Yeah.
I
But then
think
like
at some point that's not defined by the character length anymore.
I think it's
No,
like
I think it's probably syllables you use, honestly.
like character length would be something you could standardize, right? Like you could sort
Not
of
really. Not every language uses the same kind of characters.
no.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, true.
And even the Latin characters we used aren't universally, they're not phonetic, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just thinking about Latin.
Take, for
You could use,
instance,
yeah, you could
the
use,
O.
you can't, not syllables. If you use something in phonetics, maybe, yeah. But even
Yeah.
then, I mean, I'm sure that there are things you can say faster than there are others. Like there are words which are hard to say quickly, or you know, like repetitions,
Obviously.
like fisherman fishing. You know, like.
Tongue twisters.
So if you have tongue twisters. So if you have a language which has a tendency to create tongue twisters for whatever reason, yeah, or maybe a dialect, yeah, because a dialect mixes two languages, and then you again like this weird tongue twist. Then even maybe if it has few like high information density when written, it could still be slow when spoken.
Yeah. But yes.
Maybe.
I
But yeah.
don't actually know how the things are defined exactly,
Yeah.
so I'm gonna refrain from actually telling you what exactly it is.
To be clear, everything I'm saying, I mean, the basis of what I said were facts. What I stated as quotes were facts, or at least internet quotes. Take them as whatever you want. But right now, what we are saying is mainly speculation. To be clear on that, everybody. Yeah?
Okay. Yeah.
It's like thinking about it, yeah. What could we be? What do we do? Anyway,
Language is
should
an
we
interesting
maybe
thing.
switch to the next topic, which would be instrumental music? I think one of you do.
Yes, let's not talk about the language of the mouth anymore and move to the language of the heart.
Oh my god, so cheesy.
Oh my god, that transition. So improvisation.
Oh my
I
god,
give you a cookie.
That was planned.
No,
Thank
that
you.
was not.
That was absolutely planned. I planned that like half a second before I said it.
No.
So, guys, instrumental music. Let's go.
Okay, so you don't like instrumental music, right?
I'm not a huge fan of it because it lacks.
Words. Oh.
No, it lacks
Emotion?
information density and energy.
But then, like, what's the main thing in music
It's
to
the
you?
same like I don't like. At the moment, I don't listen to any slow music. Everything I listen to is very aggressive, like loud, hard beats. Either rap or.
Is that something you actually like Google?
No.
Loud heartbeats and loud heartbeats
No.
MP3.
Oh, come on. You know the difference between like,
I know.
oh mama,
Yeah, heavy metal.
sleepy, and like techno, which is like bam, bam, bam,
What's
bam,
that?
bam, and someone like screaming, put your hand up, or I don't know,
Yes, I
Mia
get it.
putting
But
explosion sounds or gun sounds or sword sound in the background, like it doesn't
like,
make you sleepy, right?
okay.
Do you know Nightwish, the band? It's not instrumental, of course.
Yes.
But
Yes, I
that
do
kind of
like it.
direction of instrumental I could listen to, I think. Like that without, or say, when they do instrumental passages or stuff. But even then, that, it still lacks a bit of the energy of the
Have you
storytelling
ever
I like.
have you ever tried to? Oh, is it like that a cover instrumental sort of thing? Like the
No.
band you just talked about. Like, have you ever tried to listen to some instrumental covers of songs you like?
No.
Because
I
that.
don't know. I clicked on it by accident, but got bored after like 5 seconds. So.
But
Personally, I think
Bored.
instrumental covers do have the problem that the songs they cover were actually designed to have a voice in them.
Yeah, but then some work beautifully. Like it depends on the arrangement, yes. But okay, so.
But like a guitar cover of like a party song, I'm like, yo, man, that's not
Oh
the point
no! But then, like when you talk about some sort of sad, like I don't know, a folk song, you listen to folk. You listen to
No.
folk? No? Okay. Anyway, like I don't know, something like mellow. That works better. Yes, it depends on the genre too, but then you can't just like okay, so I listen to jazz a lot, okay? And in jazz there are standards, like there are songs that are called basically standards, and these are songs that sort of are the standards for any jazz musician, and not just like vocals, like not just sung standards, but then you have instrumental covers of those standards, and that's basically what jazz is. Like most of the time it's covers. People listen to covers more.
Yeah, I heard that.
There's usually no. Yeah, there's usually no like some of the time there is, but half the time there is no like original guy, like.
But doesn't it also have something to do that jazz has something a bit like about perfectionism, like the things that you try to do are very hard?
Oh my god, no! Like jazz is
like, like when I look at like jazz pianists or something, it's like really impressive.
Jazz is purely like improvisation. So, what you're thinking about is sort of classical. Like classical musicians, like pianists, they like want perfection. That's why they follow the score. They follow everything. But jazz is basically improvisation. Like every version is different. Every version has a different, melody.
Not in that sense, but of trying to be like very fast and stuff.
Yeah, that depends on the artist. Like basically, like you could have many different tempos for the same standard. It depends on the artist, like what he wants. Jazz,
I'm not saying that everything has to be super fast, but like I think I've been like to a jazz concert once, and what I like remember was like there was like these massive tempo changes, like from very slow, and I don't know, emotional, I guess, or whatever you want to call it, and then like suddenly like very explosive and like really impressively fast to watch. Yeah, but like not saying it was like that all the time. That was like, oh, if that's jazz, it's actually
that's the formula for many jazz, covers. That's what most people do.
Okay.
Like,
I could listen to that, like in theory. I would just, have to be more in a maybe in 10 years, like when I have a job and I kind of have a home and
Yeah, that's
be
like
more
I
of like,
understand. I
cooking
understand
dinner
people.
kind of music. Then I'm trying not to die and get through my days and get my work done
Boy,
and
okay.
find
Well,
friends and
it's
not
it's Christmas.
cry
It's
and
holiday season, right? It's holiday season, and I'm going to send you on. I'm going to talk about like it's a jazz album called A Charlie Brown Christmas. You know Charlie Brown, right?
Yeah,
yes.
the
Yeah,
Charlie Brown.
yeah. Uh, it's called A Charlie Brown Christmas. It's by a really, really good jazz pianist, and you should listen to it because it is one of the best
Sure.
forms of music ever. And I like it.
Perfect. I'll give feedback here on the podcast.
Yeah,
Remind me.
yeah, and like apart from that, I understand like people who say like they don't understand instrumental music because I wasn't someone who like was interested in it much either. But then I guess my perception changed when I started playing an instrument.
That
But
makes
then
a lot of sense.
that's the problem. Yeah, that's the problem. Like
That's the same for
not
Benji, I think.
everyone.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
understand
not
that.
everyone is a instrument. That's the problem. Like, but then there are people who appreciate instrumental music but don't play instruments. It's not like they don't exist, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So,
But
Pretty.
I remember I had friends who were pretty good musicians too. I think one was playing the bass and one was playing the drums or
Bass.
something.
not bass.
How do you call it?
The
Bass.
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 Like
The
like
bass.
the weird guitar, right?
Yeah, the four strings.
Yeah,
The
exactly.
weird
That's it.
guitar. Oh my
And they
god.
used to talk about like
I
music
think
all the time, and we also went to some concert together. We went to a festival, we're coming. And they were talking about like how even with like their favorite, like with bands with like very prominent front artists, like so let's say 30 Seconds to Mars, right? Where you have like Jared Leto dancing around like a crazy frog and shit. They would still like really be focusing on like their artist, like on the drummer or on the bassist.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do that.
And
You do
I
that.
think that's very interesting. Obviously, that explains also why people who play an instrument are into instrumental, focusing on that instrument, I think also most of the time, no? Or at least
Yeah.
a bit of it. Yeah, yeah, that makes sense.
I think there's also a different angle, because for me personally, I like to listen to a lot of soundtracks, video game soundtracks or series soundtracks.
You know Robert?
No.
Yeah.
What is that?
Yeah, Robert is a friend of mine that Nicholas knows. He likes that too. He listens, I think, a really, really lot to or used to at least, yeah. Pirates of the Caribbean soundtracks and stuff like that, and Star Wars maybe.
For example,
video games.
and well, for most soundtracks, it's the thing that makes the instrumental music even more have more impact than, for instance, just your average pop song, is that you actually have a connection to like the story they belong to.
Okay, true.
That might not necessarily be true for Pirates of the Caribbean, but that's just an awesome soundtrack altogether. So
story time. There is actually one instrumental thing I like, which I actually showed. I think maybe even both of you. I showed it like really, really quick. Maybe I should have this at some point. It's called Inokronia. You can search it. It's a French, I think, orchestra, I guess, based in Paris.
Guess how
I think also does classical music, but they also do like on-demand stuff or something. And they work together with Gaming TV for an esports event for StarCraft 2. Very sorry for the coffee machine sound.
That was you. I thought that was.
They made like they made different themes and songs for each player and for each race and for the opening and for the closing and for the commentator and like for wind and like everything. And really introduced it, like it wasn't just the concert, it was like 15 minutes and like some background music while the casters were hyping the crowd, and again some build up, more music, a bit louder. Then the game started, the music dies off, and then like when the game ends, the music comes back and stuff like that. That was really awesome. And there's also like a 30-40 minute pure session of music at some point. It was pretty nice.
Yeah,
and completely without voice.
That's essentially what makes soundtracks in particular great.
Yeah, that's what I figured out. That's why I figured that's a great example.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, great.
Like, well, let's take Pirates of the Caribbean because basically everyone's gonna know that one. It's just like when you hear the music come on, it's time to pirate.
Yeah, right? Or Star Wars
or it's time to get fired up because cannonballs are gonna be flying or something. Like that really carries a lot of emotion. And I think a lot of other instrumental music, I like to listen to just orchestral in general as well. does have the impact, but of course it doesn't intrinsically have something linked to it.
That's also true for like different songs though. Like for example, Rihanna or Shakira or something always being used for party music in movies. I mean, that's something completely different, but it's a similar thing too. Or certain
Yeah.
artists being used. You know, if like have this artist in the trailer, it means this movie has action, or it tries to sell you that. You know what I mean? Even if
Yeah,
the
sure.
trailer only has like 2 explosions and you're not really sure, and in the end maybe the movie doesn't, but they put, I don't know, you know, like
Well, yeah, the soundtrack argument isn't like exclusive to instrumental music. Like,
no, of course,
there's
I just
plenty
wanted,
of
yeah,
there's plenty of songs that do have vocals and get used in situations like that, like credit songs or opening themes work like that.
Did you guys watch this movie called Whiplash?
yes,
Yeah.
I didn't.
awesome, watch it.
So,
One of the
and
best
then,
movies I watched.
yeah,
Actually, I hated that actor,
yeah, who
the guy,
fucking
the main actor, right?
main actor?
Yeah, I hated
Oh,
him
so you
before the
like
movie. Before the
so
movie,
you- oh,
but
okay.
then I watched the movie and wow, that was good, man. That was good.
He actually plays the drums. Like he played those drums apparently.
Yeah, no man, that was a good
And
movie. Worth
like,
watching.
did you not like listen to any jazz or anything after that?
Like
Did
a
you not?
tiny bit, but you know, like maybe for a week or something. And like
You know,
I have this awareness that jazz exists, but I don't have either the time or like really like I think that really if I end up like actually going the boring lifestyle and in 15 years sitting somewhere cooking dinner with like a girl and a wine or something, I might be like, hey, let's try out jazz, you know? Like the girl will be like, no.
oh my
But
god.
Implying jazz is boring.
no,
Implying
no,
jazz is
no,
Yes.
boring.
no,
He's talking about
no,
like
That
no,
is
no, no.
exactly what you
Implying,
imply.
no,
that.
no. Okay.
You're saying
No,
jazz
let me
is for old
talk.
people.
Implying
No.
jazz is like good time,
No.
you know? Yes.
Jazz is for old people. You're saying that.
No, that would be
Yeah.
like with 35. Holy fuck, 25. No, not 30. Yeah, 35. 30, 35. Come on, that's not old people.
Agreed, that's not old.
Like, as soon as I start uni and get a job, basically, you know? Like, when you kind of have your own place, this kind of situation.
No one's saying 35 is old. Like we're just saying.
Yeah, well, I said in 10, 15 years. And then you said when you're old.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Anyway, guys, let's not go into the details of whether I'm really not trying to offend jazz. I'm saying that at the moment, music I listen to just is more active and explosive.
But
And
then
songs I
jazz
used to
can be
like, which like even with voices which are more boring, right?
Yeah.
I just have a lot of issues listening to very often.
Jazz
Even
can be
more.
like explosive and
Okay,
interesting.
I'll go. You know, send me. Shall we switch topics though, guys? Because
Yeah.
Well, I think we
Yes.
should have a little vote on whether or not to change topics. Because what we're talking about next is democracy.
Oh god. Oh.
oh my god.
I guess.
Oh my
Nailing these transitions.
Yeah, I get why you would want me to have a.
So, Mohit, what is democracy?
Democracy is for the people, by the people, for the what?
Now, what's democracy?
It's a government system, I think. Yeah.
How does it? What's the idea behind it? Come on, you know that.
Of course, I
talking-
know that. Come on, I'm
Well,
not like
tell me.
2 years old.
We have viewers. Come on.
People.
We have viewers
Oh.
that don't know.
Yeah.
Here at Howling,
What do I
we
say?
set
Like, what do I
up-
say? It's
Okay, so democracy is
it's a
the idea that
governmental
the
system.
government directly represents the people.
Yeah.
And,
And
well,
it's
say
me.
that.
But I didn't know what exactly to say. You know, like
Your words.
All right, so
I said something
we got
about
that much.
like, and I said people.
We got that much.
Um,
Democracy.
What's direct
from Greek.
democracy? Do you guys have any idea? Or
Yeah, like choosing your own, like directly voting for your, your not for a party but for people, right?
No, wrong.
No?
Nicholas?
Well, it's opposed to the way representative democracies work, as far as I know.
Yeah.
In that you are very much reliant on having assemblies, basically, with your people deciding about certain
Exactly.
legislatorial
I'll try and summarize it, yeah.
thing
But
about it.
good that you brought that up, Mohit, because that's exactly what it isn't. Um,
Thank you.
there is direct vote, which is when instead of voting for a party, you vote directly for a person, yeah?
Yeah.
But that's direct vote, for example, for presidential election. But that's still in a representative democracy. I hope I'm using the exactly correct terms here. So what you're doing is you're voting for a person or a party to represent you on any given topics for the next 4 years or 5 years or whatever time frame. While in a direct democracy, you basically have a referendum on every matter. Now,
Referendum is the
yeah.
word.
obviously, now what we that doesn't really exist, yeah. What we do have in Switzerland, which is the closest we get to direct democracy, which we still call like that, and we're gonna call like that from here on out too, is you have basically still a president, some ministers, and like an assembly, which kind of gives the guidelines, gives the ideas, and like someone has to sign at some point and stuff like that, and actually pass the papers around. But they are not able to do basically anything without a referendum, and if people, it's very easy for people to create an initiative. Like I don't know how many votes they need or something, like how many petition signings, but it's very barrier free to get a petition, to get a topic to a referendum, so that the people decide, or that people have to deal with it. So basically, every human really has a direct impact on every topic he wants, and not only at like the state level, on like for example VTA tax or something,
Yeah,
which
like we.
also has to go through a referendum. Also on stuff you'd have like in a town, who does our garbage? Do we want like public
Okay.
hospital or private? Do we want to privatize it? Sell
Yes,
it,
like
and
even on a local level.
even on a local level, especially even on a local level. Like at some
Okay.
point on the state level, obviously you have more representativism,
What's
because when you have like two presidents meeting, he can't be like, yo, let me ask my people real quick.
Mm?
So there you obviously have some freedom to negotiate at least. I guess then you have to like have a referendum on the contract at the end or something. But on the local level, you really have this a lot too, and it's what apparently is working.
Okay.
It does work in
Does it
those
work?
specific circumstances.
Yeah.
Yes.
Let's talk a bit about the exact case of Switzerland, because, so to be clear, direct democracy is an idea which is, I think, pretty common, which is often idealized by liberals and leftists. I would personally be saying that I am in favor of the idea, at least. However, the only country to have it is Switzerland, and more or less also the only country ever have had it, as far as I know. Obviously, it's still not being a perfect direct democracy, yeah? Now,
Yes.
what are, first of all, Switzerland is surrounded by the European Union, is extremely safe,
Yes.
is extremely rich due to historic banking reasons and other reasons,
Yeah.
has
It's
a
also
very uniform society, because
yes.
it is white people,
I'm gonna move to Switzerland.
white Swiss people, because they have very strict immigration laws since forever, and it's so easy to move into the EU, which is nearly as good. Why would you really bother? And they actually have, which is, you have to be aware of this. The parties in Switzerland are very against immigration.
Okay, so
It is actually like you have nearly Trump-style parties with, or yeah, like Trump-style paroles being the biggest party.
can I say
But
something
the thing
dumb?
is that the country is working. Yes,
Can I
Mohit,
say
I'm
something
shutting up
dumb?
now.
I'm gonna say something dumb. I didn't know that. Is Switzerland not in the EU?
No.
Nope.
Oh my god.
Switzerland has historically always been a country to not get involved with any international business, basically.
Also, it's completely on currency since forever. Like it's not, like binded to another currency, completely free currency.
Really, that's interesting.
Well, not free. I mean, like it's governed by its own country, but yeah, not free floating, but yeah, Swiss governed
that's
and Swiss controlled.
That's interesting because there's a bunch of history to go about, but that's a topic for a different day.
Yeah, a lot of countries, like for example, I don't know, South Africa, I think, or Hong Kong, for example, or stuff like that. Like many countries just bind their currency either 1-to-1 to the dollar, or 1-to-10, or I think even China. Yeah, China's currency is binded to a basket of currencies.
Let's actually talk about that at a different time. I could
Very
say
true.
things about that, but that's not the topic right now.
Very true. So, direct democracy. What is
Yes.
kind of what I see in Switzerland, which is kind of weird, is that really, if you look at the political spectrum of parties, you have a very strong right and extreme right, a very strong extremist left, or like very strong left, to say it like that, and then a very weak middle. But all of these are governing together, yeah? It's not like you have all these parties, but in the end, the right has enough to like govern, and the left is just the opposition. They really are governing together, but you have like very contrary opinions. So from what I guess, and that maybe help me in the comments, we'll do further research. But basically, on every topic where the government doesn't like agree, there's just a referendum, and then the people decide, you know. So even if like the right maybe has more votes in general or more representatives, there's a referendum on green energy or not, and people are like, yeah, we want green energy, and so it's green energy, even if politicians rather not. Or most of them, and only the leftist politicians, which are only like 25%, actually want that. But the actual people, like on that topic, agree with the left. No stuff like that. So I think it's very interesting. But Nicholas pointed out, or Nicholas, you go into the point you made earlier to me.
Yeah, well, I think that because Switzerland is a very, very specific location with a very specific climate, and also not a very big country either, that all of this is, well, yeah, it's kind of moot. It's like, I doubt it would work in other situations.
I think this is very good at dealing with regional differences, because you have local direct things, direct democracy. So you would have less a tendency of like in Germany, like, oh, we have poverty, let's just help the poor everywhere. Well, and in the end, you like create poor shelters in rich cities and stuff. Would maybe be better in that regard. But I think it has issues when you get like ethnic diversity and social diversity and poverty. Because like the solution to poverty in Switzerland is like we just have so much money that they have an unemployment of 3% and then a minimum wage of 3,000 euros.
Yes.
A minimum wage of 3,000 euros.
Yes.
And we're talking about 35-hour weeks or something. Maybe it's 38, maybe it's 40, maybe it's 30. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's insane. Like Mohit, compared to what you have in your country, you probably feel like it's not even a joke anymore. It's just like a different world, right? So would that work? Like, is a system so good that makes that entire economy and everything work that way? I really doubt
it. Well, Switzerland is a pretty rich country.
Well, it's working for them.
Yeah, but I think it's more like they're historically rich and then they managed to make it. But I think it's very interesting, and it's definitely something I'm gonna have my eye out on. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
Because this is something new for Switzerland too. Yeah, from what I understand, like maybe directly, like definitely the political spectrum changed with World War II. Like it did everywhere, like after, right? Even if Switzerland wasn't directly involved in the war. I don't know when exactly the direct democracy came to the point where it is now, because this is not something which was possible before, guys. You have to think that you need like electronic voting. Most of this is electronic, because if you have like 100 referendums a year or 500 or something, you can't be counting paper ballots all the time. Probably they still have paper ballots or securities. I don't know. Yeah. I think there's also actually I have a friend in. Oh, actually, he's in Austria. No, never mind that. Never mind that. I was wrong there.
I have a friend in Switzerland. No, it's Austria. Oh my god.
Whoops.
Anyway,
make that point.
But yeah, like, so this has to be something which is like 20, 25, 10, 15, 5 years old, at least to this degree, and you read like every year. I read at some point like new record year again, and if I remember correctly, in amount of votes in Switzerland or something. So we will see, I think, in like 20 years if it's still working, or if it's just like it was working what we had 30 years ago, and we still have money, so we're like still living of it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, I think the other issue that always happens with democracy, especially when you get on an international level, is that normal people have no idea what they're doing, basically.
Yeah, but then again, don't you at some point, like, if you have a lot of, like, really so many votes, right? Would you bother voting on, let's say, like, trade agreements if you don't have any interest? Like, if you don't inform yourself, or would you only vote on like stuff that concerns you more? Let's say local garbage collection, or schooling if you have children, or minimum wage if you're poor, or you know what I mean? Because like you don't
Yes,
have to vote on everything, right? I mean that's impossible, probably even. So I could imagine it kind of balances out, and that only like people who at least are either very or in tendency more educated or have informed themselves. I mean, like you know what that means. But politicians aren't any better than normal people either. At some point, they're not geniuses. You fucking see
well,
that.
no, they usually have an
Yes,
education,
we know.
knowledge of their
Yeah,
field.
but they also have wrong goals. You know, maybe it kind of balances out in the end. You know what I mean?
Might be. I'm not sure.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
No one's sure.
Not sure at all.
Not sure at all.
No one knows what political system is the best, because there is
I
no
think-
best one.
Yeah, there's only the least. Well, Churchill. This is a quote from Winston Churchill.
Ah,
At least in the
Mhm.
idea. I might get the wording wrong.
someone I
Um,
know.
Wording is probably wrong. Democracy sucks. We just haven't found anything else that works better.
Word sucks, yes.
Sounds about right.
But like that's something like that he said, yeah.
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 It's true. Like democracy has many issues. Representatives, you know, wanting to get re-elected. If you give them 30 years, then they're a dictator. So there's no point in that either. How do you make people really represent the idea? That's the idea of direct democracy. Yeah, increase the
Yeah, I
degree to
agree.
which the government listens to the will of the people. Obviously, you lose. You
Something.
can't choose the people that much, so they have less tendency to be educated. Yeah.
I think another important point that makes a direct democracy impractical for larger scale kind of democracies,
Like USA countries or something.
something like that, is
USA countries.
just the fact democracy by design is slow because you have a lot of people who have to like find solutions. And that's just representative democracy, you know?
What about like a technocratic democracy then?
Whatever that
I
means.
mean, actually, okay,
What?
true. That wouldn't really. Okay, no, that wouldn't really help.
What is a technocratic thing?
Okay,
What?
technocratic democracy. Technocrats is when you basically base on science. So you say you want the smartest people to be in.
No, that
the
wouldn't work.
government.
Like most of the
Well,
time, like
that's basically you have a bit more bureaucracy then. And then the other thing is where you can also say you can have a democracy, but you go very capitalist and very libertarian. So you say there's a lot of freedom. Like that's basically the libertarian idea, Nicholas, is to make democracy faster. You know, reduce regulations everywhere, reduce the people sample that work actually for the government, reduce that literally just the amount of laws, make laws simpler. And now you get obviously it had its issues, yeah. But that way you make the democracy way more adaptable, flexible, because the market kind of regulates itself and the society regulates itself. So that's the idea behind it, at least. That's also a possible solution if you want to see it as that. Dogs? Woof woof?
woof.
Wait,
What?
no, guys. Let's say something about democracy, Mohit, and then I can do the transition.
Democracy is good.
So, I would say that we woof over to the next topic.
My God. How do you survive?
Today
Yeah, we
I
barked
met
up this
a
street
majestic
anything.
girl. Her name is Adla.
What?
She is a husky.
Oh, okay.
She speaks Romanian, so I couldn't really communicate with her, but I spoke English and German, and we had fun. No, so basically, to explain, we're at university, and there is like you can spam mails to everyone, and there was this mail of someone writing, "I'm a PhD student. I have a husky. She loves walks, and I'm very busy. If someone wants
Oh,
to
you
walk,
got that? You got that job?
yeah, it's not a job. I said I want to do it for free. Give me that dog."
Oh my God. People are so mad at me.
But many people said that apparently. So yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Well, she sent another mail after that to everybody saying, "Yo, I got so many answers. Chill down, everybody." But that's awesome. So yeah. Anyway, I went walking with a dog today for like 45 minutes because I had class after. But I'll go again. It was really fun. Like walking, then I was running 2/3 of the time. But lots of fun. Like a young husky.
Yeah, huskies need a lot of movement. as far as dogs
And
go.
so clever, like so good at staying on the sidewalk and stuff. I was a bit worried because like, the first time, like she literally just like gave me the dog, and we're like, yo, here, oh, and here's a plastic bag in case she poops and I go, like. I know kind of dogs, but I didn't know the dog, so I was a bit worried about like crossing roads at the beginning and stuff, obviously. Because and kind of trying to figure out the leash and stuff too. But like, I don't know, she was like so smart. She like always crossed like just perpendicularly the road and then stay on the sidewalk, unless I'd like actually incite her to walk on the middle of the road like a retard. And I know we just run around. It was great fun. So yeah, question like, why do people like dogs so much? Tell us about dogs. Nicholas, you used to have a dog.
What? I used to have a dog. Dogs are awesome. I'm a dog person. Fuck cats. Don't fuck cats. That's disgusting. But
Yeah.
I like dogs.
Do you fuck dogs?
Oh no.
I am king shaming.
You know what I saw today? A video.
What?
I think it was from
guy.
BuzzFeed called
Oh my god.
$2 hot dog versus $169 hot dog.
Oh yeah. I like. It's in my YouTube recommendations because I watch so much Gordon Ramsay.
It's in trending.
Oh.
Anyway.
No, because I watch Gordon Ramsay. That's
I wanted to talk about dogs, not about hot dogs.
But why are you talking about that then? You were the one who
Because
brought it
you
up.
just said hot dogs.
To a zoophiliac, all dogs are hot.
I want a dog. Like that's literally one of my goals. I'm really happy. I really hope this gets into something stable, at least for like the next 1-2 years. Because when I get out of this university, when I live on my own, I want to get a dog. But for now, I can't. It's not allowed.
Money.
It's not allowed either.
Well,
I could have the money. Would be an issue, but I could get it together if I would be able to have a dog and would think it would be a good idea, which it would be. But like we can't have a dog here, and I understand that. Plus, like the room is actually pretty small when I have class. I'd have to take it to class. Oh, that would be so awesome. Imagine like no, but you're in class and you have like your puppy on your lap.
Yeah, and then it shits on your lap.
Lap dog. Well, first of all, I think it's very important to make a distinction between a rat and a dog.
What?
Anything that fits in a handbag is not a dog.
I completely agree with that.
In my opinion.
Oh yeah, those handbag dogs.
I wouldn't call them rat. I would just call them cats.
What the fuck? No, cats can
they're
be
dumber than
cats.
Cats
Can be big.
and louder than cats.
Cats can be big.
Oh, there's really lazy cats though, Nicholas.
Tiny dogs are annoying.
Yeah, okay.
This
There's
is my
there's
opinion.
super. Yeah, tiny dogs are annoying.
No, the people who own
my
tiny dogs.
stepmom, but like my dad's girlfriend has a tiny dog, and
Yeah,
you
that
kind of
thing
go
is
to
annoying.
like it because it's the little thing that does woof woof
Fuck that thing.
and looks at you with like gleamy eyes. But like, I wouldn't want one of those. I want a husky would be good. I'm probably gonna go with husky. I think.
Well, real talk though, having a dog really is a lot of responsibility.
Yeah.
They require a lot of attention. They have needs.
Yeah.
Like you need to actually take care of them.
And it's not just like you have to actually want to. I think like.
Yes.
A dog does kind of communicate with you, but he doesn't speak. And just reading like an article from time to time doesn't do the trick either. If you don't like want to be a good dog father or like pet father, you're not going to be.
Godfather. The dog father. Yeah.
That's what a dyslexic guy would think the Godfather is.
The dog father. Yeah, exactly.
But I also think it's very healthy for you, to be honest, to have a pet. Like
Well,
if
yeah.
you manage, like if
Yeah,
you
to
get
be
to a certain age where it's financially stable and it's a good decision, and you like dogs in general and stuff like that. But I think in general, it makes you happy. Something stays by your side. It makes you exercise.
Well, yeah, definitely. It's just you do need to realize that it takes a lot of time, a lot of effort.
Yeah,
to
like
have the
Oh,
dog.
I most definitely do.
Especially if you have something like a husky.
For me, a dog would basically be like jogging. You know what I mean? Like saying I'm gonna jog for 3 hours a day or 4 hours a day for the rest of the next 15 years or something. Like I'm aware of that. Yeah. And obviously, additionally, you have to do other things.
But I mean, yeah, I think dogs are pretty great.
Yeah.
They can be stupid as fuck. Horribly stupid. But that's also
Like when you
part of
pretend
fun.
to throw a ball, but like so badly, and the dog just runs away, and then searches the grass for a minute.
My dad has a
rolling over
dog.
it, and you
My
like.
dad has yeah. My dad has a dog who's absolutely bonkers crazy for sticks. He loves his sticks. And if you ever are on a walk with him and do make the mistake of taking his stick and throwing it somewhere, you're guaranteed to have at least 1 hour of fun. With him coming back again and again and again and again and again and again. Just
Do you know
hand you this
it's actually an
stick.
issue for dogs that they can get addicted to sticks or balls or toys in general?
That guy was definitely addicted to sticks.
No, but
So I
seriously,
don't doubt
it
it.
gets to the point like that dogs won't exercise anymore without like having a ball thrown, you know?
Mm.
Like I mean they walk obviously, but like not they won't want to go for a walk and they won't like run around unless you throw a ball and then they'll be like all hyped up. So you actually, if you're a dog owner, you have to be careful and inform yourself on that. That like, you know, playing with a ball isn't the only playing or whatever. And it's just one of many activities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
Now, how about we all say goodbye in dog language?
Oh my god, stop.
No. It's just that Nicholas just humiliated himself. It's on tape. That's great. Let's not do that. Wait.
Either way.
By the way, there's an
Thank-
app called Dog Translator for iPhone.
Yeah, like
So
that's
what
the
does
kind
that
of stuff
even
you
say?
shouldn't use if you want to be a good dog father.
Fucking dog father.
Nicholas, would
Yes.
you please introduce the exit? Or exit?
Introducing the exit.
Is this a...
The door's right there. You can click out anytime you want. Do remember to subscribe though, rate the video, comment the video. Thank you very, very much for watching.
Yeah. Share it with your
And
friends
we
if you
will-
enjoy it.
Yeah, definitely. And we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye bye.